Fixing foundations here with another college algebra tutorial. Today we are going to be talking about exponents. This video is not going to cover everything, but it should give you a solid understanding of some basic concepts. And if you're very confused about what an exponent is, it is something that we can use to speed up multiplication. Now, if you look here at the 3 that is written in purple, this is known as a base, and the reason we know it as a base is because it is being affected by this exponent here in orange. And what this expression is saying is that we are going to take 3 and we are going to multiply it by itself. And when we do that, 3 is going to appear 4 times in the expanded expression that we are going to write. Now, to give you another example of what this might look like, say if we had something like 4 to the 5th power, well, this would expand to 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. And you can see that 4 was written 5 times. This accounts for the 5 that was written here for the exponent. And finally, if we were to put this into the calculator, so if we were to do 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, this is going to give us 1024. Or what we could do is many calculators have a button that is reserved for using exponents. And on my calculator, it appears as this button right here. So if I were to hit 4, and I click on this button that looks like a little up arrow, it is going to give me the opportunity to put in an exponent. And then when I type in 5, you can see that a little 5 was filled in for the 4, and we get the same answer, 1024. Now, depending on what kind of calculator you are using, it may look a little different. I have another calculator that has the exponent look something like this. So you would see an X, and you would see a little square here. And the first thing you would do is you would type in the number that you wanted, and then you would hit this button, and then it would create this little box here for you to insert the exponent. And on other calculators, it may leave it something like this. So you may have a 4, and then when you hit that button, it puts the up arrow like this, and it will leave it there. So when you put the 5, it would be in normal size. But the up arrow here is trying to indicate that the 5 on the right is actually the exponent that is going to be used for the calculation. Now, I would like to show you what multiplying two expressions looks like when exponents are involved. So we have this expression here, 2 to the 3rd power multiplied by 2 to the 4th power equals 2 to the 7th power. And when we have two bases of the same number, so you could see we have 2 as a base here and 2 as a base here, these two expressions are being multiplied. In these instances, we take the exponents and we just add them. We do not multiply them in this case, and I'm going to try to demonstrate why we don't. So let's say we had this, so we're going to expand this expression here. So we'll take 2 times 2 times 2, because this would be 2 raised to the 3rd power. So you can count 3 2's here, accounting for the 3 exponent that we have here. And then we would multiply this by 2 to the 4th power. So this would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Then we would take this, so we would take 2, I have to clear the calculator, 2 to the third power. That is going to give us 8. And then we multiply that by 2 to the fourth power. So 2 to the fourth power, that gives us 16. And the reason why we did it this way is because the order of our operations says that we should do what is in the parentheses first when we are simplifying. So we get 8 times 16, and when we put that into the calculator, that is going to give us 128. And if we were to do 2 to the 7th, I'm going to scroll down a bit. That would expand to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And we can count them just to be sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2's in this expression. And if we were to put this in, so if we did 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, you will see that we also get 128 as our final answer. And of course, we could also use the exponent button, so we could take 2 and raise it to the 7th power with that button, and you will see that we get the same answer. Now, when we use variables, the same logic applies. So even though we don't know exactly what our base here is, we have x here and x here, we still know that since we are using the same base, we will just be adding the exponents. So we add 4 and 5, and this gives us 9 as our final answer. And to help you understand why this makes sense, I am just going to assign a value to x so that you can see the principle in action. So let's put 5 in for x. So we'll put 5 raised to the 4th power times 5 raised to the 5th power equals 5 to the 9th power. And we want to demonstrate that this statement is true. So let's start by simplifying these two expressions here. So we do 5 to the 4th power. That is going to give us 625. And we're going to multiply that by 5 to the 5th power. So we'll do that. This gives us 3,125. And finally, we are going to do 5 to the 9th power on the other side. So 5 to the 9th power, that is going to be quite a large number, 1,953,000, and what were those last three digits? 125. And then all that's left to do is to multiply these two numbers, so let's do that. So we multiply 625 with 3,125. This gives us 1,953,125. And you can see that these two expressions are indeed equal. Again, it's very useful to find the exponent button on your calculator. I encourage you to look up the model that you are using if you are having a hard time finding it, or you can feel free to drop a comment saying what calculator you are using, and if you need help finding the exponent button, I will do my best to help you with that. Now, in this case, we were multiplying two numbers that share the same base, and we added the two exponents. There is a case, however, where you actually want to multiply the exponents, and that is here when parentheses are involved. So we can see that we have 3 to the 4th power in parentheses here, but we also have a exponent here as well outside of the parentheses. And in this case, we are going to multiply 4 and 3, and this gives us 3 to the 12th power. And to help you understand why this makes sense, I am going to use the order operations to simplify. So the first thing the order of operations says that we should do is we should look at the parentheses. Remember, P, E, M, D, A, S. P stands for parentheses, and that comes first. So let's start with looking at 3 to the 4th power. So if we put that into the calculator, we will get 81. So we write down 81. And remember, we still have this 3 here as an exponent, so we also have to leave that there. And we will leave 3 to the 12th power here, and then we are going to simplify both sides of this equal sign. So if we take 81, right, we raise that to the 3rd power. Let me just make sure I did that correctly. 81 raised to the 3rd power. Okay, all right, that is the correct answer. I apologize for what appeared before. It's going to give us 531,000 and 441. And you can see that when you're working with exponents, the numbers can get quite large. And finally, I'm going to take 3 and I'm going to raise that to the 12th power, and that is going to give us the same number, 531,441. And hopefully this demonstrates the principle clearly to you. Thank you very much for watching this video. I am dedicating this series, I'm creating a full course for college algebra here on my channel, so if you would like to keep up with that, feel free to subscribe. And if you are looking for online tutoring, I now offer that. You can feel free to send an email to fixingfoundationsfoundation@gmail.com. It is here on the screen. Thanks again very much for watching.